Our records indicate on November 11th, 1996, Gregory Johnson's parents reported to the Hubbard County Sheriff's Department that their son was missing. During the 6-month investigation, authorities learned that Christopher Nelson and an accomplice were responsible for the death of Gregory Johnson. The investigation revealed that Christopher Nelson shot Gregory, and both Christopher and his accomplice dismembered the body, trying to conceal the identity of the victim. They disposed of parts of the body in different locations. The whereabouts of Christopher Nelson and his accomplice were unknown at the time. On July 6th of 1997, Mr. Nelson and his co-defendant robbed a Snappy Mart convenience store in Deming, New Mexico. A customer and a store clerk testified that a man matching his description entered the Snappy Mart carrying a handgun, ordered them to the storeroom, and forced them to kneel. A man matching the co-defendant's description came in with something silver in his hand, taped the customer's hands together, and ordered the clerk to open the cash register. Nelson and his co-defendant then left the Snappy Mart along with a female accomplice. When police began following them, Christopher Nelson began shooting him. The two co-defendants later surrendered. Mr. Nelson fled to a hotel room and barricaded himself for 12 hours. He was eventually arrested and detained in New Mexico. On May 15th of 2000, Christopher David Nelson was sentenced to life for first-degree murder in Minnesota, Hubbard County District Court. Today's review represents his first review on his life sentence after serving approximately 27 years of incarceration. His minimum parole eligibility date will occur on February 6th of 2029. Thank you. I turn this matter over to the board. Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nelson. How are you today?
Okay.
Right. I'd like to start off this meeting by asking you to tell the board what it is you'd like to see happen as a result of today's meeting.
I was very much hoping to be able to get an opportunity to apologize to the family and to Greg's family and the community. I was hoping to maybe find out what kind of a step down I might be able to participate in. If at all possible. I'm just hoping I can help in any way I can.
Okay. So just to take those things in order, you said that you'd like the opportunity to apologize. What is it? What does that look like in your view?
Seems to be that for myself, it doesn't seem that there's enough words, there is no words to actually say what I need to say, and I hope that I can maybe through the RJ program through the DOC, maybe there's some programs maybe that are monitored. If there's anybody out there, even the officers that were involved in the investigation, anybody that I've harmed in any way, if they can get a hold of them and maybe start some, if it'll help them to start some kind of dialogue, if it'll help.
So what, I mean, just it would be interesting, what would you say to someone, to a family member, if you had that opportunity?
I am so sorry. There's nothing in the world that Greg deserved to have gone through that. Nothing in the world. I wish I could go back and change what I've done, That's been weighing on me for so long. I think I could use some help to find a way to apologize, because it seems that there's no words.
Mr. Nelson, let me ask you this question. What insights have you gained into your involvement in this offense?
Excuse me?
What insights have you gained as it relates to your involvement in this offense?
There's so many things that I've realized about myself, my past self, that are literally disgust me. And I didn't have the greatest childhood, and I was clinging to anything and everything I could that would, any kind of acceptance. And it led me down a horribly wrong road. And I've very much learned to avoid problems and try to be helpful to those that need help. I've pretty much the last 20 some years, I've become the guy that everybody goes to for advice and help. And I very much enjoy helping other people. As much so as they may be a administrative rep here. Everybody comes to me with their problems, I guess. I enjoy that, being able to help people. In the early time of my incarceration, I didn't even know how to read. Literally, I was misspelling my middle name. I've learned how to read. I'm very I can read short periods of time with adaptive devices, but I've educated myself. I haven't had many educational opportunities within incarceration yet. I'm very, very much hoping to further that. And education means so much to me right now. I've learned that empathy, great deal of empathy for other people. I've learned that I very much like to help people.
So you did not show considerable empathy at the time of this offense. Would you agree?
No, sir. No.
So looking back now through all you've learned, how do you characterize the level of brutality of the offense you were involved in?
That was, I unfortunately, I relived that over and over and over again. Those memories they make me sick. That person I was back then makes me sick. The cowardly actions, I don't understand how we could have done that. I really don't. That person I was back then, I have no idea how I could have even been there, but I was. The weight of what I've done it pulls me down.
So do you explain to us why it is that you believe that you are not no longer a threat to public safety? And I'm talking about, beyond just your physical ability. I'm talking about this around your criminal thinking and those sorts of things. What changes have you made?
I've made so many changes.
So what are they?
Well, learning to read really got me down a really good path. Reading the Bible, learning to read the Bible. That was the first book I learned how to read. To treat other people the way you want to be treated, and everything else falls into place. Everything falls into place. And the person I am now, I have absolutely no room in my heart for any kind of bad feelings. I avoid people that that are going through bad things, but I want to try to help them also. But as far as me ever being violent again, I know I have to prove to you guys that there is no violence left in me. Nothing, no ill will feelings, nothing. And I'm very willing to work as hard as I can to prove it to you guys.
So the records indicate that early in your incarceration, I don't know when or this changed, you involved yourself with folks who were engaged in picking on, harassing, mistreating those who were in prison and serving sentences for certain types of offenses, particularly sex offenses. Can you talk about that and if or how that changed?
The day that it kind of started coming to me that prison life is so painful and lonely and hard as it is, I started realizing this before a certain situation. But some other guys were picking on at the time was in his room crying. And I passed by, I saw him crying, and I even broke down because I was one that was picked on. And that was the last time I ever picked on anybody. But yeah, to this day now, if you would ask anybody in the community here, that any one of the guys, no matter what their crime is, they come up to me daily and just needing somebody to talk to, because it is a hard way to live. And I enjoy helping them, even if they have the bad crimes. It doesn't matter what the crimes are, they're still human beings.
Okay. When you think about what it would need, what you would eventually at some point in time need to successfully transition, what do you think that that you would need? And why?
And I think Miss Darla, she's come up with a lot more information on the programming and stuff like that. And Minnesota is amazing with the programmings for parolees and for disabilities. But educational, I'm desperate to get into some kind of educational programming. I need the adaptive devices to be able to, and I was looking into doing a paralegal course while I was here, but it was too difficult for the institution, and the adaptive devices were not allowed. But educational job training through, the education stuff. Any, counseling, aftercare. I mean, pile it on me. I would love to do as many programs as possible. I mean, I'm so desperate for programming and education.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to open it up to other members who may have questions for Mr. Nelson.
I've got a couple of questions from Mr. Nelson, and actually one of them was a follow-up to something that you just said. You indicated that you're really just desperate for education, programming opportunities. One of the notes I made is, and I think this is your 27-year review, so you've been incarcerated for 27 years, yet there's not been an abundance of programming that you've participated in. So I'm wondering what has changed? Why are you so motivated now, or at least you have expressed motivation and sincerity now? What has changed? Why haven't you done that in the previous 27 years of your incarceration?
Well, I have always wanted to and been trying to get into educational opportunities, but with my eyesight, I get books on audiobooks from the blind and physically handicapped, and basically that's how I learned how to read, and get an audiobook on for the Bible, and getting the same books. And I'm probably college level reading, but I can only read so long with adaptive devices. So I need I'm completely computer illiterate because I'm not able to use the computers in the education or library or anything. But they have programs for like voice to text, text to voice. That would be make the world a difference on any kind of education. They have another device. It's called a pen reader. I believe all you do is you scan the text and it reads it to you. But none of that is allowed here within this CASI level. But it would make a world of difference on getting an education. I mean, I see some kind of I'm hoping, praying for some kind of, steps in learning how to use a computer, and then the job training and secretarial skills, and then maybe a paralegal course. I'd love to do a paralegal course, but it's just a little too difficult here. There's like hundreds of books that and then need devices.
Okay. A couple other questions from me. And again, this is follow up to something that you said earlier, and something that I think we hear somewhat regularly in some of our hearings, and I like to ask the follow-up question. So you said you are not the person you were when you committed the crime. You're a different person. Who was that person?
The person I was that guy was, when growing up, I was severely abused, and I was out on my own very, very early. And those types of children kind of gravitate towards other outcast children, and you don't have any supervision, it kind of snowballs into problems. And by the time I got up here to Minnesota, I was getting my things together, but then I got hurt physically and then mentally. And when Scott and Pam found me, I was beyond down the tubes, and with just any kind of empathy or any kind of caring, I was grabbing a hold of anything, just any kind of kindness. And I was very gullible, but I can't blame it all on somebody else, because I was trying to belong, I guess. Hold on to something.
So it was your actions were more a result of the people that you associated with?
It was a contributing factor, and I was so lost. I had no calling, no reason to even exist at the time. I've found, through all the pain and misery I've been through, and I've found a path of empathy and trying to help other people now that I did not have back then. The main rule for myself is to treat others the way you would want to be treated, and everything else falls into place. Everything. But
Okay.
the person back then did not have tools to emotionally process problems. I was clinging on to people that I shouldn't have been clinging on to. Now I have the tools through a lot of the programming. Programming has been great. The programming that I've been able to do, the alternatives to violence has some awesome tools that not only work for the anger alternatives to violence, but it also has those same tools could be altered for like depression and stuff like that. So I'm on no medications at all, no pain medications, no psych medications, no antidepressants, no nothing like that. And it's mainly because of programming and the tools I've learned.
Last question for me. So one of the other things I noted was within your within the psychological assessment that was completed, I identified what I feel like were a lot of inconsistencies in what your version of something may have been versus, corroborating or supporting information that the report writer was able to identify. And I'm just wondering if you have any insight on that, or can explain why there were so many discrepancies between what you disclosed during the interview and corroborating information that oftentimes, is used as part of these assessments. So just wondering what your insight is on that.
I was really hoping to get an opportunity to explain that. In my early years, I was so angry and disgruntled and just stupid. And every psych evaluation, every drug assessment, I was going in there intentionally fudging with just because I was angry and disgruntled. And thank God that the way I am now and the way I was back then is night and day. It doesn't match up because I'm not that disgruntled, angry person anymore. But yeah, I intentionally in those early years, I fudged with every. I'm sorry I did, but I did. You know, I'd go in there and intentionally mess with it.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that explanation.
Mr. Nelson, I want to follow up a little bit on what Mr. Larson was asking you about in the psych eval, which was done in 2025. It said consultation with staff familiar with Mr. Nelson indicated there have been long periods throughout his history where he spends most of his time isolated in his room with little interaction with his peers. And then it goes on about that. You described to us, at least as I heard it, a situation where you're very involved with your peers,
Oh,
like
yeah.
they look to you for help and they come to you for help. So could you explain why the psych report is so different than what you just said?
Well, I do spend a little more time in my room to decompress. It's extremely loud where we live, and to be able to decompress a little bit in your room is, I mean, peace and quiet, boredom, I love it. But anytime I'm out of my room, the guys know that they can come to me. Anybody in the unit, anybody in the prison can come to me at any time. And if they just need to talk, I mean, a lot of guys just need to talk, but there's a lot of guys that need advice on how to go through the process of like going through the medical or ADA processes or other issues like that, that pretty much anytime I'm out of my cell, that's what I'm doing. I'm a unit, I'm an administrative rep now because the staff have seen that there's inmates that go to the staff and request my help. So that's how I ended up into that position. All day, every day, out at work, I've got guys coming to me all day, every day about different issues, how to take care of different situations. Even with situation, it seems like a big thing here is guys getting along with their roommates. You can put the two best friends in the same room for so long, and eventually they're not going to get along. And every day I've got guys coming to me for advice on how to handle different situations. But yeah, but I do spend a little bit of time in my room because I like to listen to my audiobooks and listen to my Bible. I'm not out playing. I don't play basketball or anything like that right now. So it's a little too loud out in the day rooms, but.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, in the 27-year institution progress report, the team there distinguishes between having identified, and you're having a lot of resource people, and having support system. The difference between the resource people and the support. How do you distinguish those two, and who are your support people? It sounds to me like you are a resource person for a lot of the other people incarcerated, but who do you turn to? Where is your support? And what have you done to try to establish a support system that would help you succeed?
This has been much more difficult for me on the kind of limited to the outside communities and stuff, but Miss Darla and Miss Frisbee and others that are their advocates for people like myself have been a huge, huge, huge help. It's like I've been able to, if I've felt frustrated for like this process, doing my release plan and stuff like that, I've been able to rely on them for advice and stuff like that. But as far as trying to build a ties to the community, I'm so looking forward to if I'm ever given the chance to build up a very rock solid base with the church, restorative justice, as many restorative justice programs as I can. I'm told through the Freedom Works halfway house, they do food drives through the church and stuff like that. All that stuff sounds great to me. And I very, very much look forward to try to build some kind of very, very strong network. But as far as where I am now, I'm very limited.
So your main support is the advocate who's here with you today? Is that what I understand you to be saying?
She's one of them. Very, very, very great person.
So you haven't really done anything since that report to try to reach out and identify other support that you might have?
I did have a pen pal through the amicus, I believe they call it. But the guy that my pen pal was very, very elderly, could barely write. And when they changed the mailing process here, it must have been a little too much for him. So he stopped writing. You have to send the mail to a different address, and he must have just decided that it was just too much. Very, very elderly guy, good guy, but that was the only other than the IWalk people and Justin McNeil. That's been the only other opportunity I've had. We just don't have any for myself. I just haven't had any opportunities.
You were urged to reconnect and establish relationships with your brother and sister. And again, the team said that you were very resistant and hesitant to do that. Have you taken any steps in that direction? And if not, why not?
Soon after that, or almost immediately after that meeting, I tried to contact both my younger brother and my sister, and they did reconnect for a couple emails, and I kept on trying to keep engaged, but they seem to be pretty busy, and I don't like to be a burden. I'm very much hoping to, if I do ever get the opportunity to be able to, once I get stabilized and show them that, I don't have to be a burden to anybody, then I'm hoping to be able to reconnect with them at some point.
The record also reflects that you've refused to take medications. Why is that? And what type of medication?
I'm kind of afraid of psych medications because they alter the way they make you feel goofy, and I don't like feeling goofy. but it also makes you feel more vulnerable to other people. But then the pain medications is a whole different ball of wax. I was on a lot of pain medications years ago, and I was assaulted several times because I refused to give up my medications. And the last time I was almost killed, I had to get facial reconstruction, had shim underneath my eye. I still have double vision. Can't see anyways, but can't walk too well and can't see too well. And it still took more than one of them to beat me up to get my medications. Still wouldn't give them up, but to avoid that was a pretty traumatic experience. I would like to get somewhere where I can get better medical care and maybe take medications without having to worry about getting beat up.
What is your reason for specifying Lino Lakes as where you'd like to be transferred?
Excuse me?
What is your reason for specifying Lino Lakes, Minnesota Correctional Facility at Lino Lakes, as where you'd like to be transferred to?
I was there was I was told years ago that there is no handicap accessibility at any of the minimum securities, but I think that's what you're asking. I'm not sure. You're talking about the last. I was trying to get there because of the dog program, and they had I believe they had a drug treatment there too. I was trying to get into, and they said that I did not qualify for the drug treatment, and my next best bet was Moose Lake. That was the issue there, and they have a dog program here. I'm in the unit where the dog program is.
Are you trying to get into that program?
I wish I wish I could, but I've been told many times because of my disabilities and wheelchair and stuff like that there's no way. I can't get out to the dog yard or pick up dog poop or anything like that. But I'm just grateful to be able to pet a dog once in a while.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson, I was just one quick question. You, as it relates, and some of these tied to questions you've been asked. In the psych report, you indicated, you wanted to speak to some of the things that were in there. You've been identified as having a moderate risk level. What's your reaction to that?
I can completely understand it. I mean, with all the fudging I did at the beginning of my time, I can completely understand your concerns. I'm willing to go through any of the drug treatments that you guys want me to do.
Okay, so you also understand some of the questions that were raised about some of the differences in the way things are been characterized by you and some of the things in the record. And that, sometimes some of the things you're sharing may not be as readily observed by staff. Does that make sense to you why that would be?
I'm not sure what you're
What I'm asking is, you've described yourself as being kind of a community leader, as someone that others kind of look to and readily access for support, advice, information, and yet that's not always the observed sense of some of the staff. Do you have any idea why that would be the case?
that's pretty easy. I've never really sought out the, I've always tried to keep my head low. I've never really stood out, to the staff. I tried to avoid, and I don't need credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You indicated that it made it sound as though faith, your faith is important to you, and you're regularly reading the Bible. Have you ever thought about PFA?
I filled out an application a while back, but I never got a response. Never.
So let me ask: is it something that you are interested in?
I would not mind it. I believe that Freedom Works was actually came out of that program.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Nelson, I have a couple of questions. I know that you admitted in the past you fudged on things when you were being interviewed by staff, but as recently as 2022, not that long ago, you're saying that you are not ever going to be at risk to abuse substances because you never have. Now, certainly throughout your entire life here, you talked about using substances of all types to excess, and it sounds like you were using substances, at least alcohol, at the time you committed the murder. So could you tell me why you think you are not at risk for abusing substances if they were available?
Well, I did fudge a lot of all of the drug assessments, the early ones, and psychological, because I was just a dumb kid, disgruntled. But as far as drinking, I drank a little bit, but I never caused any problems. As far as marijuana, I never really liked it. Any of the strong stuff, I never had any interest, but I did fudge the drug assessments in the past.
Yeah,
But,
and it wasn't just assessments. You have a history of selling drugs. There's a mention of manufacturing and using meth, extensive drug use. So are you still believing that you do not need chemical dependency treatment?
Well, no, I'm very, very, very willing to
Being
do.
willing is not the same. I'm asking if you believe you do not need the treatment.
It wouldn't hurt. I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
No, it wouldn't hurt you. I'm just wondering if at any point you question whether you truly never abuse drugs and do not need treatment in order to make it safer for society. Not just you. I know you said that someone who needed it more should get it, but that's not an issue. This is for protection of others. So just wondering what your thoughts are about that if you are admitted into a substance abuse treatment program.
I would love to be admitted into a substance abuse. I mean, I know there's tools there that I can very much use.
Well, I can't make you say you need treatment, but look back at your history and record and maybe rethink that. Another question is, were you using drugs at the time? Were you intoxicated or under the influence at the time you committed the murder and dismemberment of the victim?
No, ma'am. I was taking some antidepressants, and I don't take those anymore at all.
So you and the victim and co-defendant were not drinking at the time that this murder, that you committed this murder and dismemberment?
I believe we had some beer, but
Just wanted to clarify that and perhaps give you something to think about. Also, was your crime motivated solely by anger, or what was the primary motivation for that murder?
that's a pretty complicated one. The day or two, my memory is kind of bad, but I believe it was a day or two before, I believe Pam's sister came to visit and was relayed some news from Greg about us three, and then that made Scott kind of mad, and then but he was even more mad about being threatened to tow his truck. And we would have, it was extremely stupid. We'd have, us three would have kind of like a round table type discussions, and if somebody had a stupid idea, we'd all three add in, and those memories are extremely painful for me. I mean, if you need more detail, I guess.
I'm just asking if there were other factors in addition to your anger toward the victim.
I believe it was mainly trying to, I don't know the word, loyalty towards Pam and Scott, trying to protect a very, very, very dysfunctional family that little family that we created. I believe that's the main drive, at least for myself, that was the main driving factor. I believe I was so lost back then, so needy, that I would have, I was so clingy to what I thought was a family type of that I would have done anything at the time to protect them. But I'm so sorry to say that I was very, 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 very messed up back then.
Would you say that you put a bit of planning into this? The dismemberment, was that part of your original plan?
I don't believe so. I think it was the whole thing. I think it was at the spur of the moment. It was, everything just went bad really, really, really fast, and everything went really, really, really bad. And it seemed like both Scott and I were just trying to come up with whatever we could at the. I don't exactly know how everything went so bad so quickly, but I don't think there was really any kind of plans. I mean, everything was just a horrible avalanche.
Okay, thank you. Those were my only questions.
Okay, with that, I'm going to turn to Ms. Holland. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being here to support and provide advocacy to Mr. Nelson. Would like you to open the floor to you to provide your thoughts regarding the changes you've seen or are aware of in Mr. Nelson over time, and what services or assistance you've been providing him.
Thank you. I really appreciate being able to speak on Chris's behalf today. And really what I'm here to actually, you know what, I have this whole thing written, but I'm just going to speak from the heart. Some of this has been really painful to watch because I know Chris a little more, and we've had a lot of phone calls and messages through JPay. And I think he's just really struggling to articulate his change and articulate who he used to be and who he is now. And I really just think that that's a matter of like nerves and not being as comfortable around you guys, because it took him a little while with me as well. I can say unequivocally that Chris has remorse. Chris has empathy for human beings. He is undereducated, and he has a lot of barriers because of his disabilities. And I know, I'm formerly incarcerated. I know from firsthand experience that people who are trying to access programs or integrate in the prison population regularly when they have a lot of disabilities, it is harder. Those people are sort of misfitted, and just accessing anything, including a bathroom, can be difficult. I can also speak to my own experience of needing to belong at any cost. And I really relate with Chris on that. And I also can say that you can change and come out of that, because that is what has happened for me. I've been to prison 5 times. I can also relate to that, like, desperate need for loyalty to situations or people that are unhealthy. It's never anybody else's fault, the choices that we make, but I understand that mindset. And I think that if I were to able to articulate his change is, I think he's grown out of that immature thinking of needing to belong and needing to have acceptance at any cost, and learning to understand human value in himself and other people. I've been working with his caseworker, Troy, and I've also been working with Freedom Works, and they work with other people that have life sentences. I think there's 4 lifers there now. They're an extremely well-rounded program. And really my ask today is that he could be considered to step down to that program, because he would be able to access more of the programmings in the community and the medical services, and have the adaptive equipment without that being as much of a barrier. And that he could do their reentry program there. They have a treatment program. I have a friend of mine that has been there for 3 years. Like, he now has stepped down all the way to his own apartment, and he's doing really well. He's like a pastor at a church. So I just think that would be a really great opportunity for Chris to be able to do that. I absolutely do not think that he is a risk to public safety. I still think he has some learning to do about himself. And I think a lot of it is because of lack of confidence. But I do not, and I talk to, as an advocate, I talk to a lot of people in prison. And I feel like, as you guys probably have as well, I've sort of like gained this like discernment of like who's kind of BSing me and who just like maybe doesn't know how to really say it. And I really think in this situation, Chris just doesn't know how to articulate to you guys right now all that he's learned in these last 27 years and how far he has come. And he still has a ways to go. And so that's why I'm here today. And with Chris's age and his disabilities, are we really serving public safety at this point? If there's another program that can take him and he can start to get some, community education services, and, they are a faith-based organization and they're just really great. So thank you for your time. And I appreciate you guys letting me speak on his behalf.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Mr. Nelson, before the board begins discussion and deliberation about next steps, I want to briefly open the floor to you for any final comments.
I'm just hoping for an opportunity to prove myself. I just given an opportunity, I am scared to death of the process that's going on. I wish I could, like Miss Douglas said, I wish I was a little bit more articulate. I am very much begging and pleading for the opportunity for educational. I know if just given any chance at all, I would make all y'all so proud. I know it.
Can I say one more thing too?
Yeah, just one quick comment. Yeah.
Yep. Myself and the other advocate that has been working with him, Ms. Frisbee, would be able to come alongside him upon his release and plug him into some extra resources. I'm the way that he got plugged into Freedom Works to begin with. I have a lot of ties to the community. I have, a lot of irons in different fires here for ways that he can receive services and the programming that he needs.
Great, thank you. Mr. Johnson, at this time, I'm going to close the discussion with you directly. And during board discussion and deliberation, the board will not entertain any questions or allow interruptions. And with that, I would open this to board discussion on next steps.
I have a clarification question. Moderate need for SUD treatment, which is level 2.1 intensive outpatient programming. What does that mean about the directive for substance use treatment? Does he have one?
I mean, he does have there, and it really just is leveling of treatment that our providers now have the ability to do. Many people, if they need intensive inpatient, they would, do linolakes or, and this level 2 is outpatient treatment is something that we now provide to make sure that we can match the treatment with the assessed need.
Can he get that level at Moose Lake?
I believe he could get that there. I think they're doing that level, but certainly at one of the facilities, he would be able to access that level of treatment. One of the things that I think about is, I remember Ramsted's question just around the whole issue of deepening, community connections and those sorts of things. And I don't want to diminish. He's got a lot of people who have provided a lot of, kind of transitional expertise and some of those sorts of things. But I do, wonder about things like how do you create this broader pro-social network of other people so that, his life is more rounded. And, this whole notion of PFA becomes one of the ways that people really get a lot of connections with people in the community because folks are coming in from different churches who participate in that program. And could that be something beneficial to him in the near term, something that he expressed an interest in? And so, I was thinking of that related to this as well.
Well, I think his advocate made a good argument about what would be helpful to him. But I also am not convinced that he's being completely honest, either with us or with himself or something. I just don't know. So maybe to that point, I mean, my gut reaction obviously was deny parole because he isn't even eligible, and continue for 3 years, I guess, maybe even a little more. But maybe the idea of moving him into a different facility, I don't think he's ready for step down, but just as a test of where he is at, I guess that would be a motion.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Clarification. What was the timeline, or what was the time frame? I'm sorry, Chris. Did you say 3 years?
Yeah, I said, actually, I think I said I was thinking 3 to 5. So I'm kind of open on that, but 3 at least, obviously.
I would, I would support a 3-year, and that would bring him to his eligibility date. That would make some sense. And then, depending upon what happens there, could be good. So I would second it if just with that clarification, if you're agreeable to that.
I would support that. I think Chris's comment about not being totally candid with himself or with others is very accurate. I didn't sense there was insight. There's a lot of excuses, but not a lot of personal responsibility. And I think that's something that may be a hard nut to crack for him because he's been the one providing support to others. He's a proud guy who's not going to find it easy to ask others for support, especially, within this system. But I think that's an appropriate time frame with the proviso that he works on that insight and, mental health treatment. And I'm a little confused on where his substance use disorder treatment mandate is. Is there one right now?
Yeah, it would be that outpatient, that outpatient level.
Could be any
But
place.
outpatient within the DOC, I think, is what we're talking about here.
So that would be one of the provisions as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think there is a lack of real insight, a real depth, and I would hope that maybe through participation in PFA treatment, maybe it provides him an opportunity to dig into that, because I do think there is, and I raise the question, just the inconsistencies within the information that we reviewed. He's going to have to really dig and start to be honest, because yes, I understand that maybe there may have been some of those things that he misrepresented in his earlier years. However, I think Joe raised the point, he has criminal charges for drug and alcohol possession from when he was, very early as an adolescent. So I think there's more there than what he's acknowledging or really being truthful about. So I really think he needs to dig into that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. That would be a denial of parole, 3 years, continuance with some of the programming options that we've explored here. So to that motion, Board Member Bray,
Yes.
Board Member Earhart,
Yes.
Board Member Larson,
Yes.
Board Member Ramstead,
Yes.
and Schnell votes yes. Unanimous vote. Mr. Nelson, your parole is denied. Obviously, you are not fully eligible yet. You would be continued for 3 years, which would be at your parole eligibility date. You've had the opportunity to hear some of the discussions that we've had here about things that we think, we would like to see you put some effort into. And we will have some conversations, and I would encourage you to have some conversations, Mr. Foucaultier, your case manager, and we'll have engage with you. We'll get you a letter on this. But to the extent that programming is available in another facility like Lino for both to address both the treatment need and really begin to provide you with that community of support. That hopefully will begin to also help you have additional community contacts and could be beneficial and helpful. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. We wish you the best. Take care. And thank you, Ms. Holland.
Thank you, everyone.
Now let me bring you back down to earth. I know he looks like a sympathetic creature. So maybe he's like bent over. He's in a wheelchair. He's got the glasses on. Apparently, he was beaten so bad by the other inmates because he wouldn't give them his painkillers. He seemed quite proud about that, which in itself is a red flag. It's like to be so proud of it. I didn't give it to them. I didn't give it to them. This is not the time to show off. To show that off. And I don't know if his injuries are real or not, if they're exaggerated or not, but he's only 55 years old. I know he looks much, much older, but he's a big man. He's a strong man. And I guess regardless of the fact is that he had a long criminal record. And I'll go through the appeal. Thank you, Sir Richard, for pulling it up. He it really just seems on impulse because he was mad, took his friend to the state national park, shot him in the back of the head, and dismembered him there on the spot. So, yeah, that's the kind of person that you're dealing with. And it's really quite an interesting story. He wasn't caught, right? He went on to do like armed robberies. He tied people up, went on a run, got caught in like a shootout with the police, and then it's actually a funny story. How he got caught is his co-defendant, who was there at the dismembering and murder, actually called the police from his jail cell because he was now also arrested for that armed robbery, and says, "I want the reward money for telling on my buddy over here for the dismemberment thing." These people are high IQ, right? And of course, when he talks to the police, he says, "Yeah, the guy confessed to me. I was there," and they find out that he was there, and then he gets a life sentence too. He actually was released. Sir Richard found he actually was released. His co-defendant after 18 years, he was released, paroled in I guess 2018. So the guy who testified against him in court got out in 2018, and this, his co-defendant who he testified against is obviously still in prison. Now, his parole eligibility date isn't for another 3 years. So this denial was pretty much like he couldn't get, even if they paroled him today, he'd have to wait 3 years to get out. But again, he has no insight. Just remember this. He's literally sitting there like the victim, playing like he is the victim, saying, "Yeah, I don't know. It was like the threesome." Basically, it was like, I read the appeal. I'll go over the appeal with you, but I was trying to figure it out. I was like, what is going on? But it was so stupid. They're all friends. And it was like someone claimed that I think he claimed, the guy that they killed claimed that someone's sister had a threesome. It was just stupid, right? Like, and then he's, "Oh, just respect the honor," or something. "I'm gonna go kill you and dismember you." I mean, that's the type of psychopath that you're doing. This is a psychopath. He's nothing short of a psychopath. I never understand the dismemberment thing, too, by the way. It's like, it's got to be a methed up thing. Like, if you're methed up, then maybe like whatever. But who even wants to do, like, that's a lot of work. Who has the patience to do all that work? It's so much work. And talking about work, instead of doing work, be smart and get your loved ones a bouquet of roses for Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is around the corner and I have a $20 off coupon for you. As a matter of fact, I just got my mother-in-law these roses. Check them out right now.
I got this box of flowers from my son-in-law and my daughter, and I'm pretty sick, so came at a good time to cheer me up. Let's see what I got. Wow, looks beautiful. Oh, it's packed so nice. Let's see. Oh wow, look at this box. That is beautiful. Hold on. Bear with me. Oh, the smell. Delicious. Let's see. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Oh, wow. Wow. Wow, are these gorgeous. Oh my God. Those are beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a gift. And the box, it's velvet, and that's stunning.
Oh, come on, guys. Let's be real. These are beautiful. They're beautiful. I mean, this is not, look, I'm going to say it again. There's a $20 off coupon code. And as you know, for this channel, we don't have that many we've only had one prior sponsor, if I can recall correctly, to this channel. So I really love working with the Rose Forever team. The flowers are shipped right out of New York. It's a small business. It's very personable. You're dealing with the human, and as you can see, they have a beautiful, beautiful product. And I love that they're able to enable me to gift these beautiful flowers to those who mean the most to me in my life. And it would mean the world to me if you were to help the channel, help Rose Forever, and get yourself a special gift or your mother for Mother's Day. There's a coupon code in the description below. DM me if you buy it. I want to know. My inbox is open, my emails are open, and I would love to know if you went ahead and took advantage of this $20 off and treated yourself out to a beautiful bouquet of roses. And with that, it's like, what, like, who, like, like I'd be far too lazy to commit these murders. All the work that goes into it, the time, and you got to think about it, and the stress, and the dismemberment, and you got to put things like who has time for that? But I know, like, the thing is, it's like a psychopathic behavior. They don't have the ability to think, to even think about what. But this murder could have been a lot worse. They did it in the Natural State Park, and a family hunting heard the gunfire. The family hunting put away their guns because that's the safety first approach, and then went to tell those people, you can't hunt that close to the road. And they saw them with their eyes, and they ended up testifying in court against them. But as you can see, how quickly this could have turned into a mass murder of a family hunting. And really, it could have happened in a second. Like, almost surprised that it didn't happen. But let me go over the facts of the case again. Like, he puts on this whole he's 55 years old. He puts on this whole feeble. I don't know. I never had a drug problem. Yeah, I'll do it. It's like, what do you even like? You got life. What are you talking about? And he has the woman in support of him. And look, I'm not gonna. Sir Richard found something where she graduated. She seems to be trying her best. She's been in prison 4 times, an advocate. Look, I want to root for her. I don't know if she's totally cloud in the sky. She sees something from him but at the same time, it's like, if you're really an advocate, and like, how much, like, can you not write a proper script for him? Could you not, like, rehearse this with him? Imagine if I was an advocate or you were an advocate. Like, we would know the first thing what to do. We would sit with the person and we say, okay, let's rehearse this. And then we'd want to hear organically what they would say. And then when they start to say, I wish I could take it back, I would. And it's like, no, that's not what you're going to say. Right? We would coach them better than the Parole Project coaches them, better than these advocates, better than the Butterfly. We know exactly what it is to say, and we know what they're going to say, and we would know how to tell them what to say. But yet none of these advocates that are paid to do it, or that are obsessed with doing it, or claim that it's their passion to do it, have any idea what they're doing. And it's crazy. Watch some Mandoo parole hearings. Spend a few hours and you'll know what to do. But no, instead you can go and sing about the turtles and the butterflies and the rainbows, the unicorns. Woo! See how far that gets you. Oh my gosh. I digress. It's kind of a boring hearing, frankly. Let me read this to you. So they talk about 2 weeks after he dismembers his buddy because of a threesome in a truck or something. So they go and they do the robbery. They tie the clerks up. They steal the money, a very scary thing. They go on a run. The police negotiator they have a standoff with them. And then they end up getting them to prison. Okay. Now, during the imprisonment, the New Mexico, for the snappy smart robbery, right? They're in prison for this robbery. Carter contacted Minnesota police authorities and asked for the reward money to be posted for information about the murder of Greg Johnson. So this is the co-defendant. This dude, right, is in jail, and he says, ha ha ha, I'm so smart. I'm going to contact them and tell them about the dismemberment to get the reward money. These are these high IQ individuals. By the way, as far as we know, he's still out. He's still doing okay. So got to give him credit. Okay. All right. At first, Carter denied witnessing the murder, but later admitted that he was present for the shooting and dismemberment. So it didn't take long for the detectives to get him to confess. All right. Carter pled guilty to second-degree murder and testified, and of course he didn't get any of the reward money. Clown. What clown? These people are clowns. Carter pled guilty to second-degree murder and testified in the prosecution at appellant's trial. Carter testified that the appellant and Johnson had an on and off again friendship, that the appellant was a little pissed, that's why he dismembered him. Johnson had asked him to leave his home in October before the rental unit was ready, and the appellant was kind of angry about the threesome comment made by Johnson. There was, in advance, there was some weird, stupid threesome comment that, like, really, that apparently set him off the edge. Carter testified that when they left the appellant's van to take Johnson home after socializing November 11th, the appellant was driving. Johnson was in the front seat, in the passenger seat, and Carter was in the back seat. Johnson was pestering them to go to a bar with him, and they agreed. But the appellant then changed his mind, saying he wanted to check out his devil's lettuce plants. The appellant drove to Paul Bunyan State Forest and stopped at a trailhead marked by 3 boulders. This sounds like, really this sounds like just the beginning of a child book story. Paul Bunyan State Forest, trailhead marked by the 3 boulders, right? Then Carter testified that the appellant got out and opened his sliding door. It's always a sliding door van, right? All these crimes always have a van with a sliding door, where Carter was sitting, and then opened Johnson's door. According to Carter, the appellant then drew a 9mm pistol from his waistband and ordered Johnson out of the van. As Johnson stumbled out of the van, the appellant shot him in the back of the head. So think about that kind of impulsiveness. He literally says, I'm going to kill him. Goes to the woods. The guy doesn't even have a moment to process, doesn't have a moment to say a prayer, doesn't have a moment to even plead for his life. Before he even gets, he's stumbling out of the van and he shoots in the back of the head. This man, so before you start feeling empathy for him, and if you do bad for him, he looks like a nice Beba Angel Aladdin, and his advocate's like, don't worry, he means for more. No, you're 55 years old. You can still kill another person. You have no insight. You have no empathy. And I don't feel bad for you. We don't need more people like you in the street. I'm not sorry. Carter testified that the appellant made a remark by de-identifying the body and seemed excited as the appellant dragged the body down into the trail of woods. So now he drags the body down. He strips off his clothes and he amputates his hands, his feet, and his head. He does it all with a splitting maul from the van. I guess that means an axe. I don't know. Should I check? Splitting maul. Yeah, it's pretty much looks like an axe. And Carter testified that the appellant intended to burn the torso by putting brush and motor oil over the body, but he didn't attempt to light it. This is like smells like methed up stuff. Like if you're not methed up, like at least if you're methed up, okay, we know your brain is altered, turns you. But if you're like, why does he even claim to be sober? It just, again, and what is his advocate? What kind of conversations is his advocate having with him? I know I can't blame the advocate. Who knows? But it's like, if you're methed up, at least I could understand it. If you're methed up, okay, you're methed up. You're methed up. Your brain was warped. But you're telling me that you were sober? I mean, you always hear about methed up people chopping people up. I don't know why. This is what they do that stuff. Carter testified that appellant encountered some hunters as he returned to the van with the shovel in the mall. This is the scary part with the hunters. It was the Wall family hunted for deer every fall near the area which Carter testified the murder took place. Timothy Wall testified that around 5 p.m. on November 11, 1996, he heard a shot from the area described by Carter. Timothy and Samuel Wall testified that they stowed their guns because that's the responsible thing to do. Although, can you imagine how terrifying that is? Where you think you're just in this, this world where everybody is doing the right thing. You actually put your guns away before you confront a sociopath who just dismembered his friend over a slight about a threesome. stowed their guns at their campsite, and walked over to inform the shooter that hunting was not allowed on the side of the road. And this is where the movie turns bad, right? And the man will say, "Well, I'm not hunting, I'm killing." And then he wipes out the family, you know? Both described a brief encounter with the male, reluctant to talk, standing next to a van in the area described by Carter. When presented with a photographic lineup to the police, both identified the appellant as the man that they had seen on the evening of November 11th, 1996, but they were unable to identify him in trial. Isn't that interesting? This is the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen. Imagine showing up to trial as a star witness for the prosecution, and he's sitting right there in court. It's not like it's a lineup. He's going to be sitting there, and then they're going to say to the prosecutor's going to say to them, "And can you identify the man who you saw that day?" And he'll be like, "Nope, I don't see him here. No, where? No." And the prosecution's probably like, "He's right there. We indict you. What are you doing? He's right. He's in that chair." But they can't say. And like, "Do you?" And they're like, "Nope." Wow, what a witness. What would it take for you? Like, what does that mean? Are you really going to be like, I can't, nope, I can't. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, someone was murdered and dismembered there, but I'm just gonna be true to my word. I'm not good at recognizing faces. It takes a certain person to do that. I'll tell you that. I mean, that guy mustn't tell a lie. He must have genuinely not been able to. He can remember the face, and he's not gonna say he can. I bet you the defense for that was like, they probably went in and they probably just said, "Sir, can you not identify this man as the man you saw there?" "Nope. I rest my case." No more questions for the witness. But apparently the jury just, you know, they just didn't care. I mean, he's not denying that he didn't do it. But it is interesting. I guess it just goes to show trials can take weird turns. Carter testified that after the hunters left, appellant placed Johnson's head, hands, and feet in beer boxes. Cardboard beer boxes. One moment you're walking, you're sitting in the back of the van. The next moment, your body parts are in cardboard beer boxes. It's so insane. And carried them back to the van, leaving Johnson's torso on the trail because they're too lazy. You can't take the torso with you, right? I mean, like, it's just. Carter testified that the appellant then drove to a bridge over the Potato River. Look at the names for these things. Potato River. Appellant and Carter puts bricks from the back of the van into some garbage bags appellant had in the van and put the head in one bag, the hands in a second bag, the feet in a third bag. Carter testified that the appellant threw the bags into the river. He and the appellant drove to Cedar Lake and burned Johnson's clothes, the maul, and the shovel, and discarded the remaining metal items in a nearby swamp. They then drove to Johnson's home, where the appellant entered through a window and knocked Johnson's phone off the hook. After leaving Johnson's house, they went home, took showers, and the appellant did some laundry. And they just left the torso there, you know. I wonder why. It's like, I wonder if we're forgetting something. Like, why? It's so weird. The whole thing is just so sick. Carter also testified that later that night they returned to the murder scene in the dark. Appellant rolled the torso. Okay. Oh, they came back for it. There we go. Into a plastic sheet and tied a large rock onto Johnson's chest with the rope from his van. They loaded the body into the back of the van, drove to the bridge over the Crow Wing River, and together they lifted it over the rail and threw it into the water. Again, you see all the work you have to do for the cover up. It's like, how do they have any energy to do this? Like, why? Like, dude, this is so not worth it, guys. This is just so not worth it. I think I can get over the threesome comment. Later, they burned the plastic sheet that was used to hold the body at a fire pit near the home of Carter's mother. Carter testified that when police questioned him 2 days later, Carter told police only what the appellant directed him to say, and that after talking with the police, they drove past a place on Potato River where the head, hands, and feet had been discarded and saw that the bag containing a head had surfaced. Can you imagine having to pull that out of the water? These are things that police officers then have to live with for the rest of their life. The appellant retrieved the head. Oh, wait, this is not the police. This is, wait a minute. Carter told police that the appellant directed him to say what was happening. Oh, so this is after talking to the police. So after, okay, this is them. They drove past the place of the Potato River where the head, hands, and feet had been discarded and saw the bag containing the head had surfaced. This is like a horror movie. This could be a whole movie, right? This entire thing could be a movie with these two psychopaths who murder their friend about a threesome comment, and they're trying to escape, and they're clumsy, and they're morons, and it's like this terrifying thing, and the head comes up, they're there, the police are looking for them, they're panicking. The appellant retrieves the head, and they threw it out the window of the van in a ditch alongside a minimum maintenance road somewhere outside Minnesota. Wow, that's so smart. Go take this man's head and just throw it in the ditch there. This poor guy, this man is being, I mean, you can't wrap it. It's just like desecrated. This stuff doesn't happen in medieval, it's like, if any of you who felt bad for him. Police investigators testified that the head was never found, but a blood stain was identified on the railing of the bridge over the Crow Wing River, where Carter said that they had dumped Johnson's torso. When the torso was found, it was bound with a nylon rope in a manner suggesting that a large object had been tied to it. Police found a rock on the river bottom on the vicinity of the torso that was free of moss, unlike the surrounding rocks, suggesting it might not have been there long and it may have been tied to the torso to keep it submerged. Police found burned foliage and two plastic caps like those found in oil containers where Carter testified that they attempted to burn the torso. The appellant testified that he admitted he was present when the murder occurred, but that it was Carter who told him to drive to the forest, Carter who pulled the trigger, Carter who dismembered the body, and Carter who decided how and where to dispose of the body. In his testimony, he claimed that he was exhausted and weak of the afternoon of November 11, 1996, after a hospitalization on November 9th, and that he stopped the van at that particular point in the park only because he wanted to relieve himself. He heard the passenger side door and the sliding door open and then the gunshot, but he and Carter often shot at targets in the woods, and he claimed he didn't realize Johnson was dead until he walked around the van and saw Carter standing over Johnson with the gun. I mean, it's possible this is true, but frankly, I don't believe him. Not a word of it. According to the appellant, Carter shot Johnson in the back of the head, dragged his body down the rail, dismembered it, and took place. There's no way that he didn't help him. There's no way he's sitting there and his buddy is doing all this hard work by himself. Yeah, okay. He's just sitting there waiting for, okay, I'll wait here for you to finish dismembering it. I'll just sit here and he didn't have he couldn't doom scroll. They didn't have that technology yet. He testified Carter tried to rock to the torso, lift to the body of the back, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I think we get the point. I'll leave this in the description if you want to read all of it. Look how long, oh my gosh, was I not screen sharing it with you? How long was I not screen sharing it with you? I do this sometimes. I can't even remember, but I'm not re-recording it. Anyways, it's a long thing. I'll leave it in the description if you want to see it. Thank you, Sir Richard, for pulling the information. But this guy is so scary. He is so scary, and I get the feeling that he hasn't grown iota. He hasn't grown an iota since being in prison. He's probably the same person he was then. He looks a little more feeble. He's got the injuries, the battle scars, he's in the wheelchair, whether it's real or not, who knows? And no. Someone who can do something like this, they forfeit the right. They forfeit the right.
Good morning. Committee on Parole is reconvening. It's 10:04 a.m. We are now at St. Tammany. My name is Cheryl Renatza, serving as chairman of today's parole panel. Mr. Chuck Tillis is seated to my left. Mr. Danny Byra is to my right. Would the staff officer at St. Tammany introduce himself for the record, please?
Corporal Jonathan Lott.
Corporal Lott, thank you so much again today for accommodating us. And we have Mr. Orange in front of us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Vernon Orange, number 180943.
Yes, sir. And we do have joining us by Zoom, Crystal Orange, who would like to speak, and we'll call on her at the appropriate time. Mr. Orange, we are here today. You were scheduled last month in September for a hearing, and at that time you elected to continue that hearing so that you could get retained counsel. Do you expect counsel this morning?
You ready to proceed today without appointed counsel?
Well, sir, I was about to ask if my daughter, girlfriend, or attorney had called in for anything to submit testimony or evidence.
No, sir. We have no one here in your support or defense.
I'm prepared to make a statement, sir, but if it's, you know, I really think that most of this is a misunderstanding. I came out of
Okay,
Angola.
let's go. We can go through the hearing. Let me read the violation.
Okay, go ahead.
Guilty, not guilty, with or without a statement, okay? But we will let you explain
Yes,
yourself
sir.
after I read them.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Huh? No, we're not having counsel. No, we're gonna proceed without counsel, correct?
Well, I was in the process of hiring counsel and wasn't able to get anybody on the phone.
Look, if you want to
Understand.
continue it, we can continue it, but other than that, we have to have it.
How long do I get for a continuance if I ask for a continuance?
So we'll schedule at
Sir?
our next available date. We're not sure on that.
I mean, will it be an extended amount of time or?
Sir, I don't know. It's gonna be according to schedule, and I would imagine it would be in 3 or 4 months, but I'm not sure.
That's a hard decision. I'd rather have my witnesses present, sir, if I can get the continuance.
Okay, well, you're requesting a continuance. My vote is we gotta call a roll. Okay, we're gonna continue this hearing to the next available date. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, Corporal Lott.
No problem, sir. Y'all have a
We'll
good
be
day.
signing off at St.
No, ma'am, Miss Renata, and I've spoken to my parole officer since that time, and if it'll save the board time and myself, there's some discrepancies in the facts, but there's nothing that, I mean, I'd like to, call myself or admit that I'm a technical violator, and if possible.
Tell you what, we're gonna go through the process, okay? I want to be sure we do everything just perfect. So I'm gonna read the allegations against you, after which you'll enter the plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll hear what you have to say. You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 3, which says on or about July 7, 2022, you absconded from supervision. Multiple attempts were made to locate you by phone calls and physical attempts by your supervising parole officer. A parole warrant was subsequently issued for your arrest July 7, 2022. You were arrested on said warrant in Jefferson Parish on June 26, 2024. So how do you plead to violation number 3?
I left the residence without my parole officer knowing.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. We're gonna get through the pleas and then you can tell us about it.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 7, condition number 7, you failed to truthfully and promptly answer all questions directed to you by your parole officer when on or about July 7, 2022, you absconded from your parole supervision. Parole warrant was subsequently issued for your arrest July 7, 2022. You were arrested on said warrant in Jefferson Parish, June 26, 2024. So how do you plead to violating condition number 7?
Not guilty, Miss Renata. I can't answer any questions if I don't see him, and I
Okay.
did abscond.
Well, we're gonna go on.
Yes,
Condition
ma'am.
number 1, you failed to allow visits to your residence by your parole officer when on or about July 7, 2022, you absconded from your parole supervision. Again, a parole warrant was subsequently issued for your arrest, July 2nd, 2022. You're arrested on that warrant in Jefferson Parish, June 26, 2024. How do you plead to number 9?
Guilty.
Okay, so tell us what you want us to know.
Well, there's some discrepancies in the facts, but I'm not here to try and make anybody look bad on myself, but I had no intentions of absconding. I've been through some things that were pretty rough and that were overwhelming. I've never missed a payment on my parole fees. My phone number's never changed. And my email was always present on paying my fees. It's present and reconfirmed. I never heard from him, and I thought he was going to call me. It didn't turn out that way, and that's why I would like to waive my rights and plead guilty to being a technical violator and accept the 90-day penalty. Hopefully the board will, at its discretion, see fit to put me back on parole with Mr. Harrison and take it from there. I've had a perfect record upon leaving Angola and 6 years with Mr. Hall, who never had a problem contacting me. I'm just pleading that in my defense I wouldn't let this happen again, ma'am.
Why'd you abscond?
The definition of absconding, I'm not really certain of what it is, but I had no choice but to leave.
You're supposed to live at your address of record, your approved residence. The last
That's
contact.
due to damage to the condo we were living in, the fact that the owners of the condo were my girlfriend's family, and they wanted to fix those small repairs there and sell the condo, and we would ask to leave, and we did.
When was that?
I don't remember the exact date, Miss Renata, but my daughter's here and I went to stay with her after the hurricane. I don't remember the exact date.
You're pretty good with the other details.
Well, I have no choice, man, but to say I absconded because I did it without his knowledge and I couldn't reach him thereafter. I didn't mean to abscond, and everything in my record would show that. I've worked too hard to give it up just for leaving. I wouldn't have done that.
So Hurricane Ida was in August of 2021. The last physical contact was made in November of 2021 in Slidell.
I'm not sure that's correct, Mr. Renata, but I have no way to disprove it, and that's why I was gonna.
Yeah,
You know,
I have narratives in the record. So why did you leave? So when you left Slidell, where'd you go?
To my daughter's house.
And that's where?
It was on number 107 in Slidell, ma'am. And I did try to contact Mr. Harrison. I didn't get a response.
How many times you try?
Ma'am?
How many times did you try?
A few. I really thought Mr. Harrison was going to contact me. Mr. Hall
Well,
always did.
tried. There was an appointment letter left February 2022, February 11th, February 26th. Attempted phone calls, May 13th, 2022, May 23rd, 2022, June 4th, 2022. Called your
Where were they
family.
left, Ms. Renata?
22.
Where were those left?
Oh, I didn't make those notes. I'd have to dig in the record to find out, but
Well, I was
they
gone.
tried to find.
Well,
But it's
none
your
of my.
responsibility to get in touch with him. It's
Yes,
not
ma'am,
his
it is, and
responsibility.
that's why I was gonna plead guilty as a technical violator. I didn't mean for this to happen, and I stayed with my daughter, my sister. Ma'am?
I asked Mr. Bauer if he had any questions of you.
Do you know that it's your responsibility to report to the parole officer, not his responsibility to report to you?
I do now, by all means, sir.
I see you're a fifth offender. How many times have you been on parole or probation before in your life?
Only once, sir. I've served my time in Angola. I was in for 20+ years.
How did that So you never had supervision before this time?
No, sir, other than Mr. Hall, who saw, I got out in 2016. And he had me for, I guess, 6 years. Never had a problem with him.
Yeah, hey, he's asking you some questions.
Yeah, don't dig a deeper hole for yourself. I'm just trying to make sure that you know that it's not the parole officer's responsibility to check in with you. It's your responsibility to check in with him and make sure he knows where you're at, where you moved to, where you're working, what you're doing. It's your responsibility. Do you understand that now?
Yes,
Fully
sir, and I do
understand now?
understand it now.
Okay, that's all I have.
We're gonna hear from Crystal.
I'm sorry, I had to unmute you. Hi, how are you? Good morning. I want to say I'm not here to down Mr. Collin at all. I do not know him. I've never heard from him. I have lived in both places, 2 apartments. And the one I'm actually here now, I've been for almost 3 years. I have not gotten one contact from him. He's never come to my apartment. I don't know what he looks like. I've never spoken to this gentleman. And I'm his point of contact when he was put on parole. I have contacted Mr. Collin. I also have it in text message, and he has never yet to report or contact me about my father. Mr. Hall, I have, definitely. I've met Mr. Hall many places. I've talked to him. And again, I'm not here to down Collin, but he has not returned any of my phone calls yet either. I know that's my dad's responsibility, but I have to speak upon that.
Okay.
He does have family support. He does have his own income. He is on disability. And again, if he is let on the 90 days, he will be coming to stay with me. I will make sure that he gets a job. Yes, he has not missed a payment. I can pull up the paperwork that you just spoke upon with his girlfriend and when they were asked to leave, because I have the letter, but it would take me a minute to go dig for it.
Well, thank you, Ms. Orange. We
Yes,
appreciate
ma'am.
this morning. Anything else you want to say, Vernon Orange?
No, ma'am, other than I've been through quite a few things that were overwhelming. As I said, I've suffered a stroke and a bad motorcycle accident. And
Since you've been out?
yes, ma'am. And it's not, again, I'm not trying to argue or say that I didn't leave the residence. Like I said, I'd like to plead guilty as a technical violator and with the board's discretion, receive parole back with Mr. Harrison.
So you've had some bad things happen. Yes, I agree. You've also had some good things happen.
I didn't hear you, Ms. Renata. I'm sorry.
You said you've had some bad things happen. You just described to us. You've also had some good things that happened too since you've been out of jail, would you say?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm not trying to, as I said, it's my fault. I violated and I wouldn't let it happen again if y'all see fit to put me back on parole.
Does any of this have anything to do with you winning the lottery?
No, ma'am, that was way back.
Right.
I was with Mr. Hall when that occurred, and I bought a car and paid all my bills and nothing happened since then.
Session, could you call the roll?
Sharon Osbourne.
Yes.
Danny Barbara.
Yeah.
Chuck Tibbetts.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Orange, we're going to be in executive session for a few moments to discuss confidential matters.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Orange, we're back in regular session. It's 10:23. Can we have the roll call?
Sharon Osbourne.
Yes.
Chuck Tibbetts.
Here.
Danny Barbara.
Here.
All right, Mr. Orange, we're ready to vote. First, I'd like to find out Crystal's, what's her address?
56 Slidell 70458.
Spell the street name.
ER.
How do you say that?
It's right
All right.
in front of the courthouse in Slidell.
Good. All right, Mr. Orange, I'm pretty frustrated with you. I think you're your own worst enemy. So, and you almost talked yourself into some trouble today, but we're going to get around it. So I agree. I do find you guilty of violating condition number 379. You are correct. It is a technical violation. So I will vote to impose the 90-day technical violation. I will add special conditions once you're released, that you do reside with your daughter at Slidell, and you will have a GPS monitor at your expense. That's my vote, Mr. Tillis.
I concur. I concur.
All right, so you'll be released once we get all the paperwork in order. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Ms. Renata.
Sign out at St. Tammany. It's 10:25.
A rare sign of grace by the Louisiana Parole Board. Miss Renata with an understanding, not wanting to lock this poor man away for life. His daughter coming in and offering him a place to live and stating everything will go right. I think that this is a perfect recipe for success for the former lottery winner. He won the lottery multiple times in his life. Once getting free from a life sentence, twice winning oodles of cash, maybe 3 times at this revocation hearing itself. I think if I can make one guarantee, if there is one thing for certain, it's that we will never see Mr. Vernon Orange again.
Vernon Orange, 180943.
Darn it, Mr. Vernon Orange, I was counting on you. How come whenever we think we're convinced that without a certainty of doubt you would pull through, you don't over and over and over again? I really, truly wonder what it is that got you here today, Mr. Vernon Orange. Did you abscond again? Did you forget to make the phone calls to the parole officers, or is it something else? Well, we're about to find out. But before we do, I'm going to read your comments because about 15% of you did see his original hearing. I played it a year ago. YouTube did its thing, shadow banned it, and most of you never even know it exists for whatever reason. I post every bloody day, actually Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's frustrating having to read so many of your comments saying, Mandoo, why aren't you posting anymore? Mandoo, why are you not posting Louisiana hearings? Every bloody day I've missed once. Jesse tells me I missed twice, at least once. Okay, and maybe I missed a couple times in the past 3 or 4 years. But guys, it is. Put your notification bell on. Now I'm going to read your comments. And then we're going to go and see the revocation hearing. Thank you, Sir Richard, for connecting the dots. And thank you, Mr. Annan, for the write-ups and saying, man, do cover this hearing. And we're going to do it. And now, I know a lot of you want to know how much money he won in the lottery. That was my biggest search. Sir Richard could not find it. I doubted Sir Richard and ran my own Google search. I even put it in the AI. It doesn't. For some reason, it's not there. It doesn't show how much you won. Was it $1 million? Was it $50,000? Was it $10 million? We just don't know. But for Miss Renata to know about it, I gotta assume it was a decent amount of money. But it's no surprise. He's literally, imagine getting out of prison, winning enough money where Miss Renata knows about it, and then just completely blowing it. And well, that's just the way it works. It's the way it works. Now let me read your comments before we go into the next hearing. And let me do. I got to tell you, YouTube's whatever, like none of this actually works. Like you go sort by top, it never really works. Can you imagine a multi-billion-dollar company and they can't get the most simple tools to function? But whatever. Like if you see what I mean, 25 likes, that's no way the most liked comment, but that's the first one that shows up. Fine. I'll read it to you. Let me just make sure that you can see it. All right, at 155, the defendant pleads not guilty to 13B, and the chairwoman says guilty. I triple checked. Yep, I thought I was tripping. That was hilarious. Y'all don't miss nothing, guys. Y'all don't miss nothing. I don't remember picking up on that, but okay, I'll love myself. You're welcome, Audrey from Australia. Thanks so much, Richard and Mandoo. I hope you're doing all right. Thank you, Gratinity, for the long-term support. Come on, guys. We need to talk about the hearing. Stop with all the thank yous. On that note, I love seeing your thank you notes but the best kind of comments are the ones that we talk about in the hearing. But I won't say no to the love yous and thank yous. The first convictions here do. Pepsi is not a killing killer. As long as Tillis doesn't revoke a 4-time offender, he needs revoked off the board, but there revokes a second offender that he's released sooner rather than later, unfortunately. So as you can see, people have been upset with Tillis since the very beginning. Nothing that has not changed. I know that people are talking about the second defendant, huh? By the way, the second defendant, for those of you wondering, is the lottery winner. So whenever you see that, let's just see. Right, this case had multiple hearings. That's why. What's up, Crazy Cat? That's why the first guy's here, Ms. Renatza. He's lucky enough to get a parole, which he never should have gotten. I don't know. I guess there's just not a lot on the second hearing. Sir Richard made a note to check out the comments, and I didn't do my homework to look through it, but I guess we're not seeing a lot. Maybe it's in a different, it's filtered differently. I'm sorry, guys. I thought we'd have more comments on the lottery winner. But it doesn't look like we do. But I know going through the comment section is one of my favorite things to do with y'all. So I was hoping we'd get some, you get a few. The first guy, where's the second guy? No? All right. Sorry. That's my bad. I should have done my homework first. I'm not going to re-edit this and redo the videos thing again. I think it was just fun hanging out with you. And as you know, you should know by now, I leave timestamps in the description to skip my jabbering. So it's there now. You guys asked for it, I bring it. So we're gonna anyways jump in to this next hearing. Can you imagine? He blows it again.
All right, Mr. Orange, do you have any paperwork there with you?
No, ma'am. I just have notes on what I wanted to say.
Okay, I'm gonna, are you ready to proceed without a lawyer this morning?
I was denied. I asked for counsel and was denied, but I'm ready to proceed, ma'am. It's not.
So based on that, you filled out that paperwork, and based on the information contained in that form, you're not eligible for an appointed lawyer, but you could retain a lawyer should you choose to do so.
I understood that, ma'am. There's no problem with that. I'm not contesting that that's a problem.
Okay, so you're ready to proceed this morning.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, your case was assigned to me, so what I'm going to do is read the allegations against you, and you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll go from there.
I'm familiar with the file, ma'am, if you want to spare the time. I know that, you know, my residence changed without the parole officer's permission, but I did have a lengthy statement I wanted to give you ahead of time.
You do the statement once we have to enter your plea, and then we'll talk about your statement. So the first one is condition number 3, which says on October 24th, 2024, the parole board voted to add conditions of residing in Avenue in Sliding and have GPS ankle monitor fitted at your expense after you were released from a previous sanction. After that release, you failed to report to the Office of Probation and Parole, failed to live at that address, and failed to have the GPS monitor installed as you were instructed. After several failed attempts to make contact were made, a warrant was subsequently requested and granted, issued by the board April 23rd, 2025. You were arrested on that warrant in Jefferson Parish, November 7th, 2025. So how do you plead to violating condition number 3?
I wasn't at the residence, so I have to plead guilty, but
okay, you can tell me about it in a minute. I'm going to go through all the allegations first. Number 7 is rule number 7, condition number 7. I will truthfully and promptly answer all questions directed to me by my parole officer. You failed to obey this condition of supervision when you absconded from your supervised parole. How do you plead to violating condition number 7?
I don't actually know how to plead to that because I've never been allowed to talk to the man. And due to what happened, it was, I mean, I guess I have to plead guilty to that because I wasn't able to speak to him. I've never denied not answering any of his questions, though.
All right. Condition number 9 says, I will agree to visits at my residence or place of employment by my parole officer at any time. I agree to searches of my person, property, residence, and or vehicle when reasonable suspicion exists that I am or have been engaged in criminal activity. You failed to obey this condition of supervision when you absconded from your supervised parole. After several failed attempts were made to contact you, a warrant was issued by the board. So how do you plead to violating condition number 9?
Because I wasn't at the residence, I don't have any choice but to say guilty, but I'm not guilty of all of that.
Condition number 10, you have an arrearage of $309. Your last payment was posted November 6th of 2025. So how do you plead to that?
I wasn't in arrears at all, ma'am, till I got put in here and can't pay it. And I'll be glad. I've made my payments for 10 years.
Right, so you plead
So
not
not
guilty.
guilty.
Okay. Lastly is condition number 13, which was a special condition. And that was the GPS monitoring at your expense and residing at the residence in Slidell with your daughter.
Guilty with a statement.
Okay. All right, go ahead and read us your statement.
I did my time at Angola, as I'm sure you know. I did 20 years flat and was released. During my time at Angola, I only had one DB report. I worked for Warden Stagg and Miss Trish Foster for 15 years. I completed risk assessment with a low risk. I became an instructor and certified GED instructor and literacy instructor. I completed 100 hours, completed substance abuse 1 and 2, anger management, marriage counseling, parenting. I did reentry seminars and completed my mentor training and became an instructor in the reentry program. I'm an associate minister with the Word of Faith. I was a HIV/AIDS, hepatitis instructor certified by the Red Cross and the CDC, and I got 3 associate's degrees, the last of which was LSU's law school in 2015. I would not, under any circumstances, have committed another crime or put myself back into the custody of the department after working so hard to do what I did. I've been out for 10 years, ma'am. I'm going to be 71 years old in May. I'm on 9 different medications. I had a stroke and I'm still on the medications for that. As far as the severity of my conviction, I understand that, but it was 30 years plus ago that it occurred. I've been a supportive and law-abiding citizen to the best of my ability without committing. I haven't even gotten a traffic violation in 10 years. And I'm scared to death of having, to commit another crime. I wouldn't do that. That's why I was going to ask Warden Stagg and Miss Foster to come and testify on my behalf, but I couldn't get them because they didn't give me notice of this hearing until 3 days ago.
All right, so all your time in prison is irrelevant to what's going on today. Tell us why your last contact.
Yes, ma'am.
With the parole officer I saw was, let's see, I guess this was the last, was November 23rd at a Harbor Drive address in Slidell.
I was not at that residence. I attended a wedding as a matter of fact, I was the minister at the wedding. This was a day and a half after I was released, and I knew to go get the ankle monitor, but my daughter pulled the residence address on that day and left me homeless. And I was stuck in Metairie, didn't know where to go, what to do. I have an anxiety disorder and PTSD, and I guess I was just overwhelmed, but she pulled the address. I didn't have anything to do with that. And although it's not an excuse, ma'am, I'm not trying to give you excuses. I'm just trying to tell you what happened. I wouldn't commit another offense, and I wouldn't have done what's done other than being overwhelmed. I had the stroke, and worst of all, not that it means anything to the committee, but I'm hoping you'll at least hear it. My son hacked into my account, stole all my money, which was over $4,000, rerouted my Social Security, and he was going to do that to me again. I was completely overwhelmed by all of this. And all I can do is beg the committee's indulgence based on my record and everything else to please place me back on parole. I'll do whatever you need me to do, wear a wrist bracelet. It's supposedly cheaper. I don't have the money to that's been the problem trying to find residence.
Mr. Orange. So you said you were overwhelmed. Why did you not reach out to your parole officer?
Other than I was overwhelmed and dealing with the things with my son and being brokenhearted from what my daughter and my son both did, I don't really have an excuse that would excuse my behavior, man. I have an anxiety.
Why did daughter pull the residence? Why did daughter pull the residence and say you're no longer welcome there? There's a reason.
She was angry as all get go because I went back to my son's place to try and get my property, the remainder of it, because I lost everything I owned in my storage unit because he took off with the money and I couldn't pay it. That's why that happened. She got mad, and I've talked to her since. I understand that she was mad, but I don't believe that she knew what she was doing when she pulled that residence address and left me stranded.
Well, you went through all this before and were sanctioned, and then after the sanction, you were given another opportunity for the GPS and, you know, the new residence and all that. I don't understand. You know the rules. You understand completely how important it is to follow the conditions.
Yes, ma'am, I do. That's why I said I'm not trying to give you an excuse. I was overwhelmed. I had my son doing the same thing to me again. He called and right when I was fixing to try and contact my PO, my son had me put back in here, took off with my wallet, my keys, and he was going to do the same thing again. And I guess that I'm stupid for trying to make amends with him and believe him. But that's all I can tell you is that I was completely overwhelmed. I got in a motorcycle accident. I broke 7 ribs. I was hospitalized for 10 days, fractured my sternum.
Mr. Orange.
I don't have any.
I'm sorry about all that, but that's irrelevant to today. Now, on your parole revocation questionnaire, you indicate that you receive a disability check.
Yes, ma'am. And I've paid
$6,850.
Ma'am.
$6,850.
What's $6,850?
That's what you put on your questionnaire, that you receive $6,850 a month in disability.
That is incorrect. I don't know why that's there. I get
I signed that form.
I don't ever remember seeing that at all, ma'am. I wouldn't lie about that. I only get 19 something. I don't get it. I don't know why that's there. I do not receive that much. If I received that much, I'd have had a residence a long time ago. And I do have my residence now. It's in Metairie. I was requesting a transfer and the landlord's waiting for me to come back and get it.
Why were you arrested? What were you doing in Jefferson Parish when you were arrested?
That's where I found the apartment I got. And I was working what little I can do. I was doing some painting, trying to earn a few extra dollars, but I was there because that's where I found a place. I could not find one in St. Tammany for less than $1,200.
All right. I don't have any other questions.
So that's where you will live, the address you just gave, if you were released?
Yes, sir. That's where I was. And prior to getting with my PO, my son had me put in here and ran off with my money and wallet and everything again.
How will you get to pay for the ankle bracelet?
Well, I was hoping that you could give me a wrist bracelet, which I understand is $68. That's about all I can afford, but I'm willing to pay it and do whatever the board sees fit for me to do to prove myself. I'm not going to commit another crime, and I won't let this happen to me again. I got my own place now, and I don't have to rely on daughter, son, or anyone else. This is my place alone.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Right. All right, Mr. Orange, I don't see that we have any other questions, and I'm prepared to vote. And I don't believe you had any intention of reporting. I have the information in the record of really what happened. My vote today is going to be to revoke your parole. I hope that you're able to get the medical attention that you need and take some time to get your life back in order. You'll have an opportunity to reapply for another parole, but I'm not willing to do that today. Mr. Tillis.
I concur with Ms. Renata.
Mr. Prager. All right, Mr. Orange, I wish you well. Good luck.
Revoked. And I think what it means is that he's allowed to apply within 1 year if the parole board allows him to. And they probably won't, being that they have a you can't even have a write-up within 3 years. So they probably are going to make him wait 3 years until he applies for another parole hearing, and he'll be almost 74 years old. And there's no one to blame but himself. And here's the thing. I recall listening to this hearing. I was listening to it in the car, just like 2x speed, whatever, and actually like listening to his whole like thing, and I kind of felt bad for him, and without the context, right? I didn't connect him to the previous hearing. I didn't, just as a standalone. I'm like, are they really gonna revoke him? He didn't commit new crimes. Maybe he really did. He was doing the wedding, like he's that. Like, come on, guys, they can get so hard on him. This is crazy. You're gonna put a 73-year-old man in prison, and it's like a life sentence almost. But when you have the full context, when you have the whole picture, when you see that all right, Coco started barking, so I lost my train of thought because I had to get him. He does not like, actually, I shouldn't say he doesn't like. He gets really excited when people come to the door. And anyway, so, okay, what is it? Right, I guess the full picture. Without context, someone might just watch this and say, wow, those, treacherous, soulless Louisiana parole board members. But then when you see everything and you connect the dots and you make the full picture, and it's invaluable. I think we're the only YouTube channel that does this, connects the dots to this degree. Everyone leave a comment for Sir Richard, and it paints the full picture. This man cannot help himself. This man is not wired like you and I. He's, I guess you call it antisocial thinking. His daughter was doing everything to give him a chance. And we know without a certainty of a doubt that, in my mind, that he immediately did everything to betray his daughter, so much to the extent that she kicked him out of her house. You cannot believe what he says about his son stealing his stuff. It's a bunch of bogus. He burns every bridge. He destroys every opportunity that he has. He was given every opportunity in the second chance after his third or fourth armed robbery. Winning the lottery, I wish I knew how much it was, but it probably is completely irrelevant because it could have been any amount of money. He would have blown through it as fast as he did. And then here he is. He's let out, and he doesn't even buy the ankle monitor, which was the condition that he do it. He doesn't call his parole officers, and he's making up excuses. Oh, I didn't know, I this, I that. And it's insane. It's actually a mental illness. He knows the consequences for his actions of not calling his parole officer, and yet he doesn't do it. What does he think is going to happen? What do you think the outcome's going to be with you in prison? And then he sits there and is like, I'm the victim. Don't do this. And it's madness. And I don't know, who needs to see this? Like, is it the PhDs? But there's always going to be, there are people that cannot help themselves. There are people that are wired differently. There are people that do not deserve your empathy, at least in that sense. You want to feel bad for the idea that it sucks or whatever, but he's the cause of it. Don't lose sleep over it. He's the cause of his own demise, and he just can't help himself. he had a daughter in his corner, and it's so sad for her because the love of a daughter for their father, and she was willing to do everything, to sacrifice pretty much everything to give him a chance, and it ends up getting to the position that she has to kick him out, and he's sitting here left with nothing. And for who knows God's what was it? What was it? It's confusing. Is it narcotics? It doesn't seem to be that way. Like, what is it? What is it that is making him do these things? Where is he running off to? What is his addiction? Well, we just won't know, but he's not it's the criminal mind. You cannot fix that. There's just something that I don't think can be fixed there. I'm not saying that anyone who goes to prison has a criminal mind that can't be fixed. There's a certain type of person that that can't be fixed, is what I'm saying.
I have no idea who may have sent it. I don't know if there's an admirer out there that's trying to get my attention.
Well, what if I told you that they were not paper roses, but they were real roses?
No, couldn't be.
Indeed, they are. And what if I told you that I sent them to you?
No,
Yes.
no, no way.
Grandpa Do, I need
Yes.
to tell you something. So
Yes.
I have a sponsor. They are called Rose is Forever.
Oh
And
my God, that's what it is. That's what it is.
that-
Roses forever.
and that's what it is. And they are real roses. They
You gotta be kidding me.
no, they're real.
Oh, I thought they were paper roses.
That's now what would you rate
How
them
can
from
they last? How can they stay like that?
I have no idea, but they do some type of treatment on them that they
Oh my God. They say don't touch it. That's what the
oh, it
instructions
says
on
don't
there.
touch it. Really?
You're the one that sent this to me. You're my admirer. Oh my God, I'm here. I thought this some nice, gorgeous blonde was interested in me.
Well, I could have blonde hair.
Oh my God! Holy crap! You got to be kidding me.